Okay, hey, it's Adam from Ri3D at Purdue. Here we're talking about kind of our kickoff wrap-up stuff. So we started by listing all the different ways we could score, the associated RP, things like that, and mapping out the field so all of our members could better understand kind of how everything interacts. You know, where can we score coral? How do we get algae? Where can we score algae? And all these different kind of nuances of this game that are different with every year of FRC. After that, we've got it erased here, but there'll be a picture up on our Chief Delphi. Feel free to go check that out later in our build thread about kind of what we're aiming for. So we started by marking kind of what's feasible, what do we need to accomplish, and what's, maybe it's a good idea for a higher level team with more time, but we don't have the time and resource to pursue it now. And we ended on kind of focusing on these main goals. Obviously, we got to be able to drive. We want to score as levels 1, 2, and 3 on the reef with the coral. We want to be able to ground pick up the coral and algae, so we don't know if that means indexing it yet, but we do know it means controlling the game piece to score it, like accessing it from the ground, scoring the algae into the processor, removing algae from the reef, and then getting a shallow climb. So this means we've chosen to ignore things like shooting directly into the algae directly into the net, a deep climb. We think getting to the level 4 is just a little too hard for us. We don't have an elevator or the components for it. So we think maybe with that you could pursue it, but it's just not what's valuable to us. We're also thinking we don't necessarily aim for human player pickup. If our design allows for it, sure, but it's not the fastest way, and we don't think it's going to be the best way for us. So after that, we went into kind of designing these different, or throwing out these different ideas that we could brainstorm. So we still got to finish our drivetrain. We're going with Swerve. We think it's the best for this field. It's very open. There's no bumps. There's not a whole lot of hiccups. Being maneuverable and fast is very valuable for this game. Got to assemble those field elements that Andy Mark was so kind to donate to us. We're working on getting our coral, or our reef set up, sorry, and our climb set for our cage set for a shallow climb. So once we have those, we'll kind of have the half field that we can sort of practice and see how things interact. Then we have 3 main mechanisms we're kind of prototyping right now. First, we think we're doing an arm of some kind, whether that is a double, we're going to have a 4-bar to kind of have a more vertical actuation to score on the different levels, or it's going to be a single pivoting point to rotate down onto the reef. We're not yet sure, but we got Tommy and Kaya going and working on some of the math to look at geometry, things like that, and how it aligns with the field. Next, we have Simeon, John, and Matthew. They're working on this idea for an intake that is, it kind of scoops up or otherwise controls the algae. And we have a pull, so that way, since there's such a big hole for the PVC pipes for the coral, we can scoop up and then kind of tip down and roll it out onto the reef that way. We're debating putting a live axle in there, so that way we can help hold and retain the game pieces. But we're not yet sure if it'll be valuable, and if not, we can avoid that extra weight and that motor way outside of our robot frame. Lastly, we're looking into some sort of roller claw. Aaron and John are looking into that, so that way we can kind of squeeze both game pieces, since the coral is about the same length as the algae is diameter. So that way we kind of squeeze the game piece as needed, roll it in to control it, and then maneuver it and eject it out when we need to score it. As we go through this whole process, we prototype, we do all this. It's all live on our Twitch, which is twitch.tv/Purdue Ri3D. Feel free to come check it out. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop in the chat, drop them in our chief post or on a video, and we'll be sure to answer all of them when we eat dinner later tonight. Thank you.